yeah, I was just finishing up a bit of work, and I thought I'd figure. I was thinking about my first synthesizer, the Arturia Microbrute. Is that what it was? Yeah, the Microbrute. And I thought it was pretty interesting that would I recommend it to somebody? So it's a hard question because the Arturia Microbrute is very, very simple synthesizer. It monophonic, pure analog, not a crazy whole lot going on. It's got a little mini patch bay up in the top right corner that you can patch, you know, the LFO to the filter, things like that. Can't remember exactly. It's got an ADSR envelope. It's got a little, very basic sequencer in it. So the Arturia Microbrute was my first synthesizer. Would I recommend it? I mean, as far as learning subtractive synthesis, I think I would recommend it. It's only $250. But I don't know, you tell me if you guys have any that you'd recommend. It was your first one, I don't know, but it's very, for the first synth, it was very simple to use. The Arturia Microbrute was very, very easy to learn how to synthesize sound. It was very simply laid out, no screen. Every knob on there did the same thing. And like I said, it had a little patch bay up in the corner if you wanted to just, I mean, you want to talk about baby modular. I can't remember, I think it was you could do the LFO to the filter. You could do the envelope, the pitch. There was pitch, filter, LFO, envelope, I think. And I can't remember the other one exactly, but there's a little mini patch bay, top right corner. And then it had, obviously, your classics, your saw, triangle, pulse wave. And yeah, it was super easy. But these days there's so many good synthesizers for good prices that I don't know if I would really recommend the Microfreak. I probably would recommend the Microfreak over the Microbrute, right? Because the Microbrute was my first one. What's up, Cosmic Traveler? So the Microbrute was my first one, but I got bored of it really quick. And when I look at things like the Microfreak now, and the minifreak especially, the Microfreak is what, 250, say $300 or something for the Microfreak. Used, you'd probably get it for 250. The minifreak is, you get it for 500, 550. The minifreak, I haven't got bored of it yet. The minifreak was up Vic Corftron. The minifreak, I don't think you can get bored of easily, put it that way. It's very in-depth. You can have so much fun with it. The sequencer's amazing. The arpeggiator's amazing. It's full of amazing factory sounds. Arturia also has like a database that you can go in and download some free sound packs that are super cool. The Microfreak, I mean, for your first synthesizer, if you really want to get, minus those little, what are those pads called? Those, like, you know, touch sensitive pads on the Microfreak. But dude, it's so cheap for the sound you get out of it. But there's so many good synthesizers now that your first, even the jdxi. Have you guys tried the Roland jdxi? The Roland jdxi is a small little synthesizer. It's got a drum machine. It's got an analog synth built in. It's got, obviously, Roland's digital. I think it's their ACB tech is still in the jdxi. It's got a vocoder. And you could pretty much make a whole song right on that thing. It's very underrated. It's like $400. That's a great little synthesizer. In a toss-up, I think you got the minifreak, you got the jdxi. It depends what you want to do. Also, do you want to make songs, like all-encompassing one? You know, you want a groove box? But I guess we're just talking about what would be the most exciting thing for a synthesizer. What was your guys' first synthesizer? Cosmic Traveler, what was yours? The Roland S1. SH? The Roland S1, that was your first one? yeah, so I guess you could recommend the Behringer MS1 to somebody, because that's pretty cheap. You can get that for, what, 199 bucks or something, or 200 bucks. That's a decent synthesizer to recommend to someone. The Hydrasynth Explorer is a good one to recommend, probably for a first synthesizer. Any of the Behringer modules probably aren't the best recommendations unless you're going to recommend a MIDI keyboard with it. You know, they've got some really good modules for cheap, but you need a MIDI keyboard, which, I mean, you can get those for pretty cheap. The Arturia Keystep or the Behringer Swing. You know, first was the Roland Boutique JX3. Yeah, did you have the little mini Roland keypad with that? Micro Korg's a really good one. What's up, DJ Dog Dad, Frederick? Yeah, the Micro Korg's a very good first synthesizer, I think. Definitely a very good synthesizer. I mean, what about a Minimoog Model D? Would you recommend that for your first synthesizer? I wouldn't recommend that for any synthesizer, but that's just me. You know, I'm not a Minimoog Model D fan. I think it's crazy overpriced, but I mean, also, if you want to think about this, the Behringer Monopoly at $419 is a really, really fun first synthesizer. You know, that's really fun. The Poly D is probably really fun synthesizer too, because you got a sequencer built in. I think the DeepMind 12 or DeepMind 6 is probably a really good synthesizer to recommend. You know, the Behringer ones, I'm just recommending because they're cheap, like if you're for your first synthesizer. Microbrute, Victor Tron, Microbrute was my first too. Microbrute was my first synthesizer. It was exciting, but where I got bored with the Microbrute is I had to add some guitar pedals to it right away. So I added the Digitech Notilla chorus pedal, the Digitech Obscura delay, tape delay, all that pedal, analog delay in there, reverse. And then I added the Digitech Polaire, which is reverb. It's got like, I think it's like 6 or 8 reverb algorithms in it. And I put them in serial, and I ran the Microbrute through that, and it was amazing. What's up? What's up, Captain Energy Music? Model D Pro 1 is good. You just got to get the keyboard with it then, you know? I feel like you'll get bored. I feel like if your first synthesizer is a Model D or a Pro 1, you'll get bored of it quick. That's just my opinion. I think the minifreak is the best first synthesizer. Especially if you're someone who also is like not a musician, then if you're not a musician, I think it's important to get a synthesizer with a sequencer, a good arpeggiator, and effects. That's my opinion, because it'll allow you to be inspired a lot more than just, say for example, you just bought a Model D, just the raw analog sound from just a Model D and say like a MIDI controller. You can put effects on it through your DAW and your computer and stuff like that, but I think you'll get sick of it too quick, and then you'll just want to add something else. So I wouldn't recommend the Model D for a first synth. As far as learning synthesizers, the Microbrute's cool to learn on. Model D's easy to learn on too. It's very easy, simple. The Pro 1, apparently everybody still loves the Pro 1 for a lot of people say that that's their favorite Behringer synthesizer is the Pro 1. Yeah, the minifreak's pretty awesome. Definitely way more potential. You're right. It's got, I mean, the minifreak and the microfreak are both really cool first synthesizers. What do you think about the Korg Op 6? I love that one, man. That's one of my favorite synthesizers is the Korg Op 6. Yeah. Micro Korg with the Korg MKVST. You're all set. Yeah, that's not bad. Go ahead and hit the like button. I think the DeepMind 6 would probably be, what's the DeepMind 6 go for? Anybody know? What's that go for? Like 400, 500 bucks for a DeepMind 6? DeepMind 6 is a good choice for your first synthesizer. That's for sure. But it's hard, like when you're after you've been playing a lot and you tried a lot of synthesizers, it's easy to recommend your first one, but it's also very difficult to recommend the first one to somebody. Let's say you've never played synthesizers, you're not like a real, say you're a guitarist, but you're not really a keyboardist or anything, and you've never played synthesizers. What would be like the ideal first synthesizer for someone who is excited and wants to get into it? What's up, Juice? What's up, Tyrion? Yeah, what would be the DeepMind 659? That's expensive, a little bit expensive for first synth, maybe. That's why the minifreak is so crazy. Like the minifreak at 525 is so powerful. You got the digital oscillators with the analog filters, tons of effects. You got an amazing sequencer. The sequencer on the minifreak is out of control. Yeah, the Dave Smith Mofo 4. Yeah, I heard that's pretty good. Microkorg, yeah, a lot of people said the Microkorg. Microkorg's classic. Prophet 6 for your first synthesizer? Wow, I don't know. That's an expensive one for your first one. What's up, Mark? Yeah. I think minifreak over minilogue, 100% minifreak over minilogue. 100% get the minifreak over the minilogue. What do you mean, the minilogue XD or just the regular monophonic minilogue? No. Don't get a monophonic synthesizer for your first one. The minilogue XD, I got that. That's pretty good. The minilogue XD is, yeah, that's a good first synthesizer. Actually, that was my second synthesizer, was the minilogue XD module. And I just controlled the module with like an old Casio keyboard. 4-voice? Yeah, the XD 4-voice is good. Oh yeah, that's up there. Definitely a good one. I think you won't get bored of the minilogue XD at all. It's got lots of effects, 4 voices. It's also got all the third-party oscillators you can put on the synthesizer. So that's a good one. Both of those are good. And the Roland jdxi, nobody ever talks about the Roland jdxi because it's a tiny little plastic thing, but it's got an analog synth built in it. It's got drum machine, all the drum machines actually, I think, pretty much. It's got the ACB technology before the Zencore. It's got a bass synthesizer in there. It's got 4 lanes in the sequencer, so you can build a whole track right from the jdxi. And the jdxi also is another super underrated synthesizer that no one talked about. It's huge. It's a huge one. The sound is huge. Reface CS is nice for new devices. Yeah, I like the Reface CS, but it's tiny. I feel like they should have brought those out in just modules. It would have been cooler if they did them in modules and made them look better. Yeah, so I guess like if you just want to dip your toe, if you're interested and you want to dip your toes and you've been watching all this stuff and you're inspired, what would be jdxi is a hybrid, yep. Hybrid synthesizer, digital plus analog. It's got a full analog synth in it. Yeah, if Yamaha did the CS module, the DX module, and they did it in like a beefy, more. Just the minis don't make any sense to me because like those for the people who play on those Yamaha style mini keyboards, it just doesn't make any sense. They're way too small. I think the keys might even be smaller than minifreak. I don't know. They sound amazing. They should have done the modules. Behringer Crave is cheap for $199. Well, I recommended the Roland jdxi to a friend of mine, and he still got it to this day, and he still thinks it's one of his favorite synthesizers. And the cool thing about the Roland jdxi is when you're first starting out, you can build a whole song right in the Roland jdxi and save it in there, and then you can obviously adjust it on the fly. But you know, it's one of those synthesizers that because it's got drum, bass, analog, 4 lanes, leads, whatever it's got, but you got 4 lanes, you can build a whole track, and then you can be like, oh cool, I made something. And then that'll kind of like give you a little extra motivation. So the jdxi is definitely minilogue XD, minifreak, Roland jdxi, very good ones. Moog Grandmother's pretty good. Yeah, the Moog Grandmother's cool. Moog Grandmother, the only problem with the Moog Grandmother for your first synthesizer, and I think that's where I know they couldn't do it because it's hard. I don't even know if it's possible. Yeah, it gotta be possible. Because the Mantis, is the Mantis semi-modular or the Malevolent? Either way, when it's semi-modular, it's hard to make a patch bank in there. But if the Grandmother had a patch bank, it would have been cool. Used Mofo, how much is a used Mofo X4? Probably get that for what, $700 or something? $700 or $800? Don't get a synth that can save presets. You can't be building patches from scratch every time. Yeah, I agree. For your first synthesizer, you do not want to get something that you can't store your patches. Because you want to stay motivated, so you want to create things too, right? Machine Plus, based on Prophet 512 voice, great for sound design. Yeah, if you're into groove boxes, the Machine Plus, what do you got? Machine Plus, MPC, you've got the Roland SH4D, you've got the Novation circuits and a bunch of those little groove boxes. I don't really like groove boxes though. What happened to my head? I mean this. You see it? Can you see it there? I don't know if you can see it or not. I got whacked on the head. Yeah, I had 5 staples put in. Nasty whack, yeah, it was split pretty good. I didn't want to get the staples put in. I went in, the doctor said, it's funny because I sat down, I was like, preferably I'd rather not get stitches if I don't need to. And she looked at me and said, you need staples. And I was like, what? She was like, yep, staples 3, and then she ended up putting 5 in there because it was wider than she thought. Korg, I hope Korg does something interesting soon for, I think the Korg Prologue Mark II is coming, or the log series, the Mark IIs of the Minilogue XD and the Prologue. I hope that's coming soon, because with the Prologue, and Korg has the new key stage poly aftertouch technology now in their new MIDI controller, so it'd be cool to have a Prologue with an updated suite of effects and an updated key bed with polyphonic aftertouch, and maybe even MPE would be cool. I just feel like Poly AT and MPE should be standard on all these synthesizers now. It only makes sense because they're so. It just makes sense. It's easy. You can license that stuff from ASM Hydrasynth, license out their polyphonic aftertouch keybed, so there's no reason not to put it on there. Casio CZ101, nice. I think for your first synth, you should get a poly synth. It's just more fun. Speaking of poly synths, the Jupiter X is back on the radar, if you're wondering. Jupiter X and the Polybrute 6 are back on the radar. Who is this Nipu Nagarugu? If you keep spamming that, I'm gonna have to. get you out of there. Oh, let me see. Yugi Nagaragu. There, you're out of here. You're annoying. Spamming. Does Jupiter X have effects? Yeah, the Jupiter X has tons of effects. It's got all the Roland effects, which are nuts. The Roland effects are amazing. What are the budget limits for your first synth? I think for your first synth, say under 600. Under 600, preferably under 5 would be reasonable. But yeah, the Roland Jupiter X got all of it. Reverb, chorus, delays. I don't know, might have ring. I don't know, but it's got a ton of effects. Yeah, I actually started on the GarageBand on the iPad is where I actually really started messing around with synthesizers because it was on the iPad, so I just started playing around. I should upload a bunch of the old songs I did right from the beginning. I got them all on the computer. I did like probably 50 songs on GarageBand iPad. That's it. I should upload them as an album. You guys probably get a good kick out of it. The character was called Beezart, and my first song ever was Beezart's Journey Through the Labyrinth. And it was all done with the orchestra app on or the orchestra sounds on the iPad. It was cool. Sonicwares are they're pretty, Sonicware, for your first synthesizer, those Sonicwares are cheap, but they're intense. The workflow is weird. I feel like you want something a little bit simpler for the workflow. Yeah, see the stitches. Oh, they're kind of hiding away in there now. I don't know where they are. Anyway, can't see them there. Yeah, I think I'm going to pick up the Texture Lab too. I checked out Uncle Jerry's Texture Lab video the other day. It sounds pretty good. So I'm going to probably check that out. All right, Juice, see you later. I gotta go too. I gotta hit the lithium mines in a minute as well. Getting into the hobby, they all bought these $300 small synths and had no fun at all, and it was just not feature complete. Yeah, I kind of don't recommend getting just a crappy cheap synth. You want to get something that is very inspiring. That's why the minifreak, to me, the minifreak's the best. I mean, it's got analog filters, so you can really get some sizzle out of the minifreak, even though it's got digital oscillators. But if you just go, I should do it later, you go and just do a raw init patch and start messing around with the filter on the minifreak, you'd be pretty surprised how good it sounds. Very good analog sound. Fix-It-Form is getting a good done. Yeah, starting with the DAW is good, it's cheap. I mean, you start with GarageBand, it's very cheap. It's not like the greatest, but you can still make very cool stuff with it. I just personally feel like, I don't know, it's hard because if I was going to recommend, I'd recommend hardware because I just like hardware. Yeah, the Synth Mafia got to me. I told you they whacked me over the head when I was camping. And, oh, there you can see them better there, though. 5 zippers. Yeah, it's hard. I don't know really. It depends on what kind of young people they are. It's different. That's the thing. Recommending a synthesizer is tough because do you want to recommend just one that you've owned, or do you want to recommend one that's reasonable to inspire, learn, and not overwhelm all at the same time? So you actually want to inspire them. You want the first synthesizer to not be overwhelming, but it needs to be challenging enough that it keeps them motivated and interested to keep learning, and it has to obviously sound good. That's what I think. Hey, Rustic, yeah, I had the Microbrute too. That was my first one. Super easy to learn. Analog too, so it sounds pretty gnarly. And if you add a couple guitar pedals to it, or if you run it through some plugins in your computer, it sounds very cool. But you can't really, if you just turn on the Microbrute and you just run a sequence, it gets boring very fast. Very, very fast. But you do, if you want to just talk about a learning tool, the Microbrute's a crazy learning tool because it's so simply laid out. you can really get an idea of what each sound wave does, right? You can really easily pick up the difference in the pulse width, the triangle, the sine. And it's got a little patch bay. You can patch it up just to mess around with some modular. I think there's 6 patch points on it. Is there 6 or 8? I think it's 6. Yeah, first synth, Moog Muse. Now per function much as possible. What about, I mean, it depends. A lot of people might recommend the Rev 2, but I would say the DeepMind 12 would be a very good first synthesizer for somebody that they wouldn't need to get another one for a while. Would be the Behringer DeepMind 12. Or even the DeepMind 6. You don't hear anything about the Behringer DeepMind 6, which is weird. You know. Any of you guys got a DeepMind 6? DeepMind 6 to me got no love. The 12 gets tons of love, but I feel like the DeepMind 6 just didn't get any love. Behringer should have put the DeepMind 6 out in a module. Yeah, use DeepMind 6, you probably pick up that for 430 bucks maybe. 400 and, yeah, definitely 400 bucks. I saw a DeepMind 12 the other day for 350 bucks. Just had a little scratch in the wooden side panel. Profit's too expensive for your first synthesizer, man. You don't pay $2,000, 2,500 bucks for a synthesizer for your first one. That's like such a commitment. Nothing to be disappointed with DeepMind 6. I gotta start with matrix modulation. Oh, that's tough for a beginner. That's like diving right in the deep end. Would you start right with modular for your first synth? That's crazy. I think the Arturia, I want the Arturia Next Freak. I want either the large 49 key upgrade in the Freak series would be very, very cool. Do it in I mean, what's the one? So the Mini Freak is 6 voices, 12 in paraphonic. So if they did a 49 key Super Freak with 8 to 12 voices would be crazy. A 12 voice Super Freak would be nuts. 12 voice Super Freak with full size keys, 49 key would be awesome. Yeah, I've been thinking about getting the DeepMind as well for a while. DeepMind module. I've been thinking about the DeepMind module and the UBXA-D module, but people keep telling me not to get the UBXA-D. I don't know why. Especially after the firmware upgrade with the 2.0 firmware upgrade. I don't know why people... Thing is, because the Moog Muse came out and the Polybrute 12 came out and all these big, huge, super expensive synthesizers, that it's kind of clouding over the amazing work that Behringer did on the UBXA. The keys for $1,100 with 16 analog voices, 8 atrophy voices, polyphonic aftertouch, MPE enabled. And then they got the module that people really, even in America, haven't got their hands on the module yet. People ain't getting that here till October. And they're going to get the module with the 2.0 firmware already in place, so there ain't going to be no complaints with the module. And there's no key beds, there's not going to be no complaints with the key bed either. Yeah, imagine you went and got a Moog one for your first synthesizer. You'd have the most insane buyer's remorse of all time, because that would probably show up and it wouldn't work. And you spent $10,000 on it. It's insane. Yeah, I gotta make a decision now if I'm gonna do the Oberheim TE-05 and wait a little bit. Riffs That Rule sent me I don't know if he sent me an email or a message yesterday, and he said he thinks I should hold out on the UBXAD and get the TE-05 module, is what he thinks. or not the TE-05 module, sorry. It'd be cool if the TE-05 did the module. The cool thing he said, the TE-05 has a split function, so where it's only, what is it, 37 key? So where it's only 37 keys, there's a split that you can split the key and do the higher octaves right there and do a lower octave. And it's really no, you just click, boom, now you got the higher octave in your right hand to play your little lead with your deep low note. And I thought that was a pretty awesome feature that I didn't know that was on there. I probably knew it was on there, but when he demoed it, go check it out. Riffs That Rule, his last video he posted, he had the split keyboard on the TE-05, so it was like cool. But I wished, man, why wouldn't Oberheim do a module? Do a Take 5 module, do a TE-05 module, sell them for, so they're both going for like 15 to 1700 bucks. If I sold those modules for $1,000 a pop, they would fly off the shelves like insane. Moog Muse chatter is dead, yeah. Only one talking about the Moog Muse these days is Echo Craft. He's still got the fever, man. He got the Moog fever and it won't break. I'm kind of off the Moog at the moment. The Moog and the Polybrute 12 are too expensive for me to justify at this stage of my synthesizer development. I'm still a synth baby. A lot of people don't understand that. I'm still a synth baby. So to take a leap, the most expensive synthesizer I got in my whole studio is the Hydrasynth Deluxe, and I got that for 1,100 bucks. Right? And that was a huge, like, oh my God, am I really gonna spend $1,100 on a synthesizer? Because everything else I got my Korg synthesizers, Op6, Modwave, WaveState. I got all of them for like 400 bucks used. My Behringer's 150, 200 bucks. Minilogue XD, I picked that up for 400 bucks used. I got my drum log was like 350 or something. And I got my Behringer Monopoly for 400 bucks on sale, brand new. So I haven't even really, and the minifreak Arturia sent it to me. So I haven't really cracked. When I went and bought the Hydrasynth Deluxe, it was such a commitment to be like, I saved all this money now and I'm gonna spend it all on one synthesizer. Very happy I did. But to then go from $1,100 and say, I'm gonna get a Moog Muse, which is like 2,400 bucks more, or say I'm gonna go get a Polybrute 12, which is, what's that? 3,900, no, 2,900 bucks more. You know, I feel like the biggest jump I can make next is like, to spend 1,500 bucks on a synth is insane. Yeah, Kamala's gonna give out, that's how she's gonna win all the synthesizer votes from people. That she's gonna tell all the synth heads that if you vote for Kamala, she's gonna give you a friggin' Moog Muse. Moog Muse is for everybody. Trump will give a Polybrute, Kamala will give a Moog Muse. That's how we'll split the synth community in two. It'll be like all the Arturia dogs will be like Trump. All the Moog guys will be like Kamala. Like, she's giving us Muse. And it's like, we want the Polybrute. And then they'll divide it up even more. Divide the people even more. It's like, how can we divide up the synth community? They're non-political. All right, Kamala, you give them a Moog Muse. Trump, you give them a Polybrute 12. And let's divide them all up. Yeah, that'd be funny, actually. That'd be super funny. I don't know, the feeling I get, I don't know, I won't talk about it on here. Maybe we'll talk about it on another live stream. But I got to get to work now. So yeah, throw down in the comments what was your first synthesizer and would you recommend it? What would you recommend for your first synthesizer to a newbie just starting? Personally, after just going over all this in my head, I would probably recommend the Roland jdxi, the Arturia minifreak, the Korg minilogue XD, or the, yeah, that's the three I would recommend for your first synthesizer. Or sorry, the Hydrasynth Explorer too. That's the four. jdxi, minifreak, Hydrasynth Explorer, Korg minilogue XD. All right, you guys have a great day. Talk to you later.